Hey, welcome back to another Get Geekish podcast. I'm Beano, it's Derek over there. Thanks so much for joining us as always. Almost always, I should say. But this week, we decided we're going to talk about something that's a little bit annoying. We try to be positive most of the time on this, but today is just going to be a fun one because we discussed that we're going to talk about some of the most annoying characters in history.
Well, not history.
Okay, well, in pop culture history.
And we're thinking maybe like, TV shows, not in history. You go back and, oh man, that's Alfred from 1367 medieval times. He was a real jerk.
Yes, and I also have to clarify too, because I even find myself towing this line when I'm thinking about some of these annoying characters. Some characters are really, really annoying, but they're a fun part of the show. And other characters are just annoying, and you don't want them to be on the screen. So there's probably going to be a mixture of both, because there's going to be something I hope like, well, that's annoying. Well, that was kind of funny though. I feel like to start that conversation off and just get it out of the way, I feel like Seinfeld is one of the shows that has that. Like a bunch of the lists have people like George Costanza as being the most annoying character ever because he was just so negative all the time. But to me, his character was a great addition to that show because he was the negative side of everything. You always had the crazy over the top, bad idea side to everything that happened to it. And personally, I thought Kramer was way more annoying in Seinfeld.
Yeah,
Kramer he was
annoying.
He was a beloved character. It was, I loved Cosmo Kramer. But you watch the show, and most of the time he's on screen, you like in your mind, you're like, shut up, stop. Like, and there's funny parts, so I don't want to take that away. But it was, as far as a character goes, Kramer was so over the top that to me it actually took away from the show. Sometimes got a little annoying, but
well, and one thing too is, I guess if we're gonna go down that road too, with Kramer was kind of like a side character edging on main character, and then later on in TV shows we had like the ensemble cast where there was a whole bunch of main characters. One think of it is How I Met Your Mother. Mm-hmm. Ted Mosby, super annoying. He started out okay, trying to be the relatable guy. You're like, oh, we're hearing the story. But as the show progressed, he just turned into a whiny little, like, kind of almost manipulative person. And it kind of took me out of the show. I was like, And then even Barney kind of towed that line a little bit, like you said, where, like, he was sometimes really super annoying, and then other times it worked. It fit, kind of like the Costanza role. Mm-hmm. Another one that really annoys me, and I know a lot of people love him, is Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that, you're a fan for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. I started off hating him. The first couple times I watched that show, I despised it, and I thought he was annoying, and I just couldn't stand it. And then after I watched it later and watched it over and started getting into it, then I kind of found the soft spot once the show had reasons for the way he acted a lot of times. Suddenly it started, okay, well, this is actually a character trait or a character flaw, not just somebody going over the top and being an annoying actor.
Well, and even like, as shows progress, the storyline or whatever, they can kind of make the character not, in my example with How I Met Your Mother, they as the show progresses, they make the characters more and more annoying. Maybe it's not their intention. I put this question on Facebook, and one of the people put Tobias from Arrested Development. It's funny at first, but then the character development wasn't great, and the show just kind of like kept beating a dead horse with him and making him go over the top. Yeah,
he had to just do the same joke but louder over and over again.
And then, I'm thinking of a show that you didn't finish, Breaking Bad. Skylar White, which is Walt's wife, kind of like, there's times where she's just the most annoying character ever. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, so there's definitely, and what, did you finish Dexter?
My wife did. I didn't ever get into Dexter.
His sister Deborah kind of toes that line too. Like in the beginning, she was okay, and then like they just ruined her character and made her very annoying at the very end. And then I guess we could go the route too of animations. We both have kids. We have both watched little kid shows.
Oh yeah, there's we can get some lists going.
My wife hates Peppa Pig. Hi, I'm Peppa Pig. My wife cannot stand her.
One of my least favorite kid show characters would be Daniel Tiger's mom.
His mom?
Yes.
Why?
Because she's creepy, or is his teacher? I don't remember. The one because she's, oh, we're going to go outside, right? Meow. Okay, and just added this weird, like, sultry red light district meow after every third word in a sentence, and it just seems so out of place. You teach these lessons from, oh, you're going to meow, learn how to not play with each other outside, meow. Drove me nuts. Still does.
So that weird little tick kind of got you, huh?
And some of the ones get super annoying because they're aimed at little tiny kids. So you hear them, you look at Barney and Caillou and stuff like that, and they're just not made for adult brains to watch. So they're made to be annoying because they're supposed to be nothing but repetitive. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to throw those in the list, but I could put almost any of those made. But,
don't you love me, Brian? I love you.
But the one of those that would bubble to the top of that, Shushy Bye Baby. Did you ever get to hear that when our little one was around?
I probably did. Maybe I blacked it out.
It was some random video she found that she adored, and it was this super awkward band dressed up in Shushy Time Land. And there was this song that went with it, bye, 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 shushy, bye. And the kid could not get enough of it. So I had to hear and watch that video hundreds and hundreds of times to the point that I found a copy on YouTube that I downloaded that just when I want to annoy my wife, I'll go play 15 seconds of it and I'll start getting hit.
Well, okay. Well, you bring up your daughter and what she was obsessed with. And I remember one show that, and this is like even a language thing where they took a character who was already kind of annoying, and then when it got translated to English, became super annoying.
Are you thinking of Masha?
Yeah, Masha and the Bear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your daughter found it on YouTube. She was obsessed with it. It was in Russian. We had no idea what it was saying, but like, you watch it and you're like, oh, this is kind of annoying. Well, then they dubbed them in English, and oh my God, they took that character who was already kind of annoying and made it just
yeah, because for a kid's show, this was a little girl that lived in the forest with a bear. It was Russian, whatever. They got into some shenanigans and broke some stuff, but then they put it in English, and suddenly then every time she talked and said anything, she was like the most Veruca Salt, spoiled, rotten little brat, and just tormented this poor bear that was taking care of her. Had no manners, just broke stuff for no reason, no remorse for anything, and like, this is horrible. Never, don't learn anything from the show.
Right? No, go back to Russian. Go back to Russian. Well, I mean, let's go even further back to our childhoods. If I bring up Transformers, I bet you could name me 3 really annoying characters from that show.
Annoying characters, eh?
There's one right there.
Wheelie, say you? Okay, yeah. And I know you despise Wheelie, and he was annoying. I for some reason liked. I had the toy, and he was part of the movie, so I told myself I liked him, but he was annoying as all get out. Yeah,
well, I think that's the thing too. Is like as a kid, you're like, he talks funny, and then you watch it as an adult, you're like, oh.
Well, I would also go with the fact of you might get hurt feelings from this, but even Starscream, with his voice and everything he did, he just if he hadn't been around, the Decepticons would have won repeatedly.
Oh yeah, Starscream was annoying as all get out, like his voice and everything. I mean, even Cobra Commander and Skeletor, were kind of annoying, but they had the voice. I think that's what made them annoying.
Yeah, and you love to hate them, which made it a very, very easy target for it. But oh man, let's see, a third annoying Transformer. I'm gonna go with Sea Spray, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking Sea Spray, just because the way he talked. And that's not an exaggeration. That's kind of what he sounded like.
Yeah, like he's a robot. Why does he have to sound like he's underwater?
Because his name.
You go older ones. Scooby-Doo franchise, pretty good characters. When they introduced Scrappy-Doo, I changed the channel. Like I went and watched not the real Ghostbusters over watching Scrappy-Doo versions of Scooby-Doo.
You didn't like Scrappy, huh?
No, did not like Scrappy. Did not like the Great Gazoo from the Flintstones. I mean...
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him.
And the fact that the next generation pretty much took that character trope to make Q still bothers me to this day.
Well, a cartoon's always going to have an annoying character. I think that was the play on it. I mean, there's a couple Smurfs that were annoying. You had the Snork, not the Snorks were right.
Yeah. They were the underwater Smurfs.
Yeah, I mean, so that you had those things, but I mean, like even TV shows. So I'm trying to think of TV shows growing up. You know, somebody on my status, they threw in a character from I Love Lucy. They said Carolyn from I Love Lucy, and I don't remember Carolyn, but I did watch I Love Lucy a lot. But it's funny because like you look at some of those shows. Well, you got the Brady Bunch. Masha was kind of annoying at times, but it's one of those ones. It's pretty powerful to have a character like Scrappy that makes you just stop.
Yeah, because like we talked before, a lot of the shows, an annoying character is actually on purpose sometimes or needed because you want to have somebody to dislike. You just don't want to watch a show and, oh, everybody's perfect. I love everybody. Mm-hmm. And even when you do shows like that, when you do like Friends and you want everybody to love everybody, I'm pretty sure I would like to see a celebrity death match between Ross on Friends and what's his name you're talking about from How I Met Your Mother. Just put the two of them in a room.
Mosby.
Yeah, and they can just tell each other sob stories until they die. Like that's what those characters can do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And it comes down to personal opinion too, because a lot of the characters that I find super annoying, I know some people, what are you talking about? Ross was the best. I loved Ross on Friends. I'm going to go watch Ross right now. And more power to you. His didn't work for me.
Yeah, no, there was definitely parts where he was definitely annoying to the point where like somebody's like, "Oh, you're acting like Ross right now." I'm like, "Whoa, take that back."
Sorry. The ultimate character that I despised, which was fitting for the show, but was Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, I mean,
the first time I ever actually cheered for a character to get murdered was when he started choking on poison. Spoiler alert! I
was just gonna say spoiler alert.
But I had never been so happy to see a character bite it in my life. I'm like, thank God, I don't have to listen to him talk or torture or do anything bad anymore.
Well, you have annoying. I guess that's one thing that we can analyze too that I didn't even think about, and so you just brought that up. You have the annoying, just whiny characters, right? Whatever, like the Mosbys, and then you have the annoying characters that are written so well and acted so well that it just makes you hate them. Mm-hmm. You have Joffrey from that. You have Ramsay from Game of Thrones as well, Ramsay Bolton.
The just those Malfoys and Harry Potter.
Yeah, you're just like, oh my, come on. So yeah, because again, a lot Harry Potter. You look at Malfoy; he was annoying. You hated him, but Dudley was also annoying. And you're like, God, we could stop.
Yeah, why'd they stop? I got one from Youth Times. Kimmy Gibbler, the original Full House show. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was watching that show when I was younger, when Kimmy was around in episodes, I was generally like not near as into whatever was going on. As soon as she became a part of the plot and the stories, it was like, oh, another one of these ones. Great.
You didn't like when she was doing like the one off and just stop by, she was fine. But when it started like her getting more involved with the main stories,
yeah, when she was a friend that showed up once in a while, oh, no big deal. But when she became like part of the main storylines in it and goes on vacation with him, it was not okay. She also reminded me a lot of some of my sister's older friends for some reason.
Maybe that's what it was.
It could have been too close to home.
What about Screech?
He was pretty annoying too. I felt like I identified with Screech because I always assumed that I was the nerdy weirdo, so I never associated myself with Zach or Slater. So I always associated myself with Screech. So I, at the time, didn't hate him so much, but he was a really annoying character for the most part. And again, he sure brought a lot of those problems on himself.
Well, and it's also that too. Is like like we kind of mentioned, was the retrospect where when you're growing up, you're like, oh yeah, and then you watch it now, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, have you ever tried back and go watch Family Matters now?
I was gonna say, I was gonna bring up Urkel. Like I loved Urkel as a kid. Then I do that, that type of thing. But you watch it now, and I still enjoy it. But oh man,
It's you. If you can watch an episode, it's fine. But you watch 4 or 5 episodes, and you're like, if you say that one more time, I'm turning this off right now.
Well, even Cousin Larry from Perfect Strangers, he was an annoying character. Like, he played his part. I get it, but he was just like the way he would kind of like manipulate, Balky and everything like that. And it's just even as a kid when I watched him, I'm like, I don't like you.
Mm-hmm. How could we surpass Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah. So here's my thing with that.
Uh-oh.
No, I don't like Jar Jar. And I just recently rewatched the prequels, and he was a lot in the first one, and then he became very sparse in the second and the third one. And I still don't like the character, but one thing that we didn't know, when the movie came out, because social media wasn't really popular or anything like that, but the guy that portrayed him got a lot of death threats and everything like that, and he went to a dark spot. So I was like, I kind of feel like when I watched it, I was like, oh, I feel you're still annoying the heck out of me, but I feel for the actor who was doing it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and people can't. I mean, it was the same thing. I've read other interviews about the I can't remember his name now. The guy that played Malfoy in Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of people that come up and literally are angry at him and mean to him because they think he's the character. Like, he's an actor. The fact that you hate the character in the movie that much means he did a really good job.
Well, that's one thing too about I saw something with Cersei, where that they were at a signing and nobody was going up and having her sign anything, and they were giving her dirty looks, and one person called her the B word and everything like that, and she's like, I guess I'm really good at my job. Which makes you feel bad, because I mean, we've all been there too when we're at Comic Cons. You're like, oh, I didn't like that character, but then you see the guy just sitting there and nobody's up to him. You're like, oh.
There's also ones that I can't decide now because they become iconic parts of a show. But I remember when I was watching the old Peanuts cartoons and Charlie Brown movies, every time the parents spoke, I got really frustrated because I was trying to figure out what they were actually saying. And it was like, oh, it's just fun that you can't understand it. But as a kid, I remember getting really frustrated. Like, what did the teacher just say? What did she just say to him? And for some reason, it really got under my skin. And it still comes back, and it's still funny to, you chalk it out that. But as the plot writing of a show, little Beano could not handle the fact that you didn't know what the parents, the kids ever said.
It's funny that you got upset at a part of a show that was just supposed to be filler, that has nothing to do with anything, and you were upset because you couldn't understand what they were saying when it was probably like you need to do your homework or something like that.
Yeah, it's just the linear details. You're like, because she said something to him and he got all sad, then apologized. Like, what happened? This has got to be important somewhere along the lines.
Well, I guess I do see that because I mean there was a couple times when they were having like a conference, the teacher would say something and they would respond back with words, and then the teacher would be like, wah, 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 and you're like,
yeah. Yeah.
I get it. Okay. See? I guess I understand little Beano.
Yeah, he's good. He had his moments.
Oh, that's funny.
Who's your most annoying Looney Tune?
Porky Pig or Daffy Duck? I don't know. Like, I love Looney Tunes, but at the same time, I don't.
Yeah.
I think, because I watched them growing up, obviously, but I think I'd have to go like Tiny Toons is my favorite. But I mean, Looney, like whenever a Porky Pig short came on, I'd be like, eh.
Yeah, there's a few of them that I liked, and I remember watching tons of them too. But I think it goes back to the not having other options. Mm-hmm. The fact that there weren't any choices meant that I watched a lot of Looney Tunes, but they're iconic, yes, but they were happenstance. A lot of the things that happened, like, oh look, he tied a gun in a knot again.
Yeah, it was a filler cartoon, I think, when I was waiting for something else to come on. Mm-hmm. Just like Tom and Jerry, except Tom and Jerry, I think I'd rather watch more than Looney Tunes. But it's still one of those ones where I'm like, I'll watch it just because it's on. But and then like you said, that's because we didn't have any other options really. So yeah,
it was that or like the People's Court or daytime talk shows.
Which are annoying right there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I don't know. It's and I think I think maybe there's got to be that level of annoyance in a show because they want to keep it grounded or, so outlandish and over the top. You're like, no, nobody could be like that, but we've met a couple Sheldons, right? And I'm not saying that Sheldon's necessarily like in real life annoying, but, where you're like, okay, I can kind of see where they get this because, they're all based in somewhat of a reality, right? I remember growing up watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I thought Carlton was annoying. But, as I'm older, I'm like, okay, I could appreciate him a little bit more,
And I feel like we can wrap up. We can compare this. The Screen Rant has a list. They put the 15 most annoying cartoon characters from their list. And I don't necessarily agree. 15 was the Great Gazoo from the Flintstones. We'll give him that.
You already said, yeah.
14, Slimer from the Ghostbusters.
Why? Was Slimer ever really a focal point in the show?
I guess in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, he was definitely a character, but
he wasn't a huge focal point where they got a lot of screen time.
Yeah, so I don't know. Is it
because he was just like always eating and?
Well, they say because he stole the spotlight from the main characters in the movies, and the cartoon one was just like a kid that got in trouble.
Hold on, pause on that. You just made me think. I didn't really care for Tasmanian Devil. Yeah. I always thought he was overrated, and I never understood why he was on every shirt in the 90s. So there's that.
They also put Krang from the Ninja Turtles.
Probably because of the voice.
Yeah. Starscream from Transformers.
The voice.
Meg Griffin from Family Guy. Angelica Pickles from Rugrats. That's a pretty solid one.
That one is a solid one.
She was a piece of work. And it reminds me of the older sister in, Bowling for Soup does the theme song, Disney Channel, Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, yep.
Angelica Pickles reminds me of their older sister where they're just like crappy so much of the time.
Mom, Phineas is doing this. Yeah.
They also have Elmira from Tiny Toons.
Oh, yeah, dude, she was...
Pepe Le from Looney Tunes.
Well, okay. We all know why Pepe Le Pew is annoying. Even as a kid growing up, I was like, I don't think that's right.
That cat should call the police. Bulma from Dragon Ball Z.
So, see, did you watch Dragon Ball Z?
I watched some of it. But one of my roommates used to watch a lot of it, so I got just bits in passing. So there's certain characters that I remember being annoying, but I couldn't tell you the names of 4 Dragon Ball characters. Jerry from Tom and Jerry, Dora from Dora the Explorer, the Roadrunner from Looney Tunes.
Hold on,
all of
But Dora from Dora the Explorer, the main character of the show, is annoying because of why? Did they give a reason, or is it just?
They just said it's made for young children, but condescension is still annoying no matter the justification. So they say, Screen Rant's quote is, Dora's like something doing a PowerPoint presentation who thinks people will find audience participation fun. It's not.
Okay, I will agree with that. Beano, do you see my phone?
Yes,
Where
your phone.
Is it?
It's right there in your hand. It's in your hand.
Is it over here?
No, it's not over there.
Okay. Now,
Then
see, this is why we talk things out.
They list the Smurfs, all of them. Snurf from the Thundercats. I had a soft spot for Snurf.
Yeah, but I think with that one, it's the voice. And I think it's the voice and the helplessness of the character that adds to... When you're watching it, you're like, come on, dude, you just got He-Man's sword taken away because you idiot. So,
I'm sensing a theme in all of these characters that are super annoying. When the character has to add in a special noise in their name, or when they talk.
Snurf.
I'll help you, Lionel, Snurf. It goes right back to Daniel Tiger's mom, meow. Adding extra words, it makes characters super annoying, but not in a good way.
Did you just say meow? Did you meow at me?
And number 1 on their list was Scrappy Doo. So we'll give them that. But this is some good ones on there.
You agree?
It's well done, Screen Rant.
Did you write this? Did you write this thing?
Did I write what thing? Oh, I wish. Screen Rant needs some work. I'll jump on that train.
That's some of your tops right there.
Yeah, great minds think alike.
Well, and again, too, goes right back to a lot of these have that annoying voice. Scrappy had an annoying voice. Snarf had an annoying voice. Most of the Smurfs had an annoying voice.
Mm-hmm.
Starscream, Krang, Slimer. Roadrunner, why would I don't? That one is just all he does is meep meep and runs. But
I closed down the window. I could assume how Roadrunner is because that's one of the ones where it was the exact same joke every time there was a Roadrunner skit. It was the same joke verbatim with some slightly different torture devices. So I could see that being kind of annoying, and there was no reason for him to run away. Like, why couldn't they just sit down and have a nice meal?
Wiley Coyote and the Roadrunner cartoons were soft for kids.
We could go back and edit some blood into those and see what would happen.
It changed the context big time.
I'm sure somebody's done it on the internet somewhere. I'll have to get on finding that.
Guarantee it.
But let us know what you think. Hit us up on social media at GetGeekish, and we want to know what you think is the most annoying character.
Well, especially because, I mean, we didn't even really touch movies. We didn't touch video games at all. I mean, you know, we mainly stuck with TV and cartoons. And even still, I know there is a plethora of annoying characters out there because you'll watch a show and you're like, I know one person my wife would throw in here is Bella from Twilight series. The movies annoyed her so much. She still watches them, but she constantly is like, oh, they wrote her so wrong, blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, we all know Kristen Stewart got a lot of flack for that, too. So,
I'm pretty sure everybody knows our feelings on the Twilight series, so.
Yeah, there's a podcast about it.
But hit us up at Get Geekish. Love to hear from you, and we'll talk at you next week.